Welcome to Business News. The federal government has slashed the 2020 budget reallocation for basic health care from 44.4 billion naira to 25.5 billion naira, and the Universal Basic Education UBE from 111.7 billion naira to 51.1 billion naira. It gave the National Assembly 27.7 billion from 37 billion naira for the renovation of its complex after reducing the budget by 9.3 billion naira. President Muhammadu Buhari last Thursday presented the 2020 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill to the National Assembly, which both the Senate and the House of Representatives passed for second reading the same day. Buhari explained that the amendment became necessary in view of the sharp decline in crude oil prices and the cut in Nigeria's crude oil production quota occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, Nigerians have condemned the reduction in the budget for health and education and described it as a height of insensitivity to the plight of Nigerians. Dr. Peter Ogudoro, a development educationist, PR expert speaking with Galaxy TV News in a private interview, said the slash in the health and the educational sector is unacceptable and would rather advise that the sector should be improved. During a video chat with Yemi Daniel, an SME consultant and political analyst, said its expectation from the government was an investment in the health and educational sector at this times.
I'm surprised that in the 21st century, political leaders are still struggling to understand how indispensable functional education is to the development of any nation. And again, we are in a situation where we are managing a pandemic, which is a health issue, and you are slashing the budget for health. That is certainly preposterous. No sane person who doesn't have a hidden agenda against his country. Putting more money into rebuilding infrastructure where people who have little or no education gather to have a jamboree is certainly not the way to go, because those people don't even understand what the challenges are. And I think that we are a very unfortunate set of people to have these kinds of guys who gather in Abuja and just make themselves happy at the expense of ordinary people in the street.
The question I would ask first and foremost is that what will be the impact of that renovation? Will it somewhat speed up the process of passage of bills? What exactly does that renovation, what will it do? What is the socioeconomic impact that renovation would have? Given the pandemic, you would have expected that investment in critical health infrastructure will be increased, so that we can at least ameliorate on our vulnerabilities. Unfortunately, what we saw was a downward review of the budgetary provision for health and education.
Yemi advised investment in alternative medicine with the situation of the pandemic in view, also focusing on budget performance and not just implementation. Meanwhile, Dr. Peter reacted to the President's ESNO loan, which was recently approved by the Senate, saying the federal government needs to focus on the real problem, noting that the country's problem is not only financially related. He also talked about effective communication and awareness of the people during these times, likewise setting a new agenda for the government.
The minimum I had expected the administration to do is to commit to alternative medicine considerably, develop a protocol that will help us, especially Africans. We should create a system that will reduce our dependence on the Western Asia, particularly China. To a large extent, I would expect investment, critical investment. What is not measurable is not manageable. So it's high time we began to focus on budget performance and not just implementation. And that performance is basically about what impact does a naira spent in the health sector, what impact would it have in the system?
We don't need a lot of money coming from outside to manage affairs of our country. We only need to become an efficient, set of people. We can look inwards, and a lot of our problems are also not problems of money. If you get people thinking right, you discover we can develop homegrown solutions to our peculiar challenges as a people. And I do know that if we do the right things, it won't take us more than about 5 years to become a net exporter of educational services. And I'm involved personally in a research that has provided evidence that can enable us to save as much as over ₦1 trillion by way of money, will prevent from going out of the country, as well as also bringing about ₦1 trillion into the country, which we can pump into diverse sectors to make the country move forward.